Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I'm super excited about my guests, and I know I always say this, but every time I talk to my guests and we even do a little pre-chat, I'm like, we just find more and more connections, and we just had a great time talking about all the great connections that we have. And so I'm super excited. Her name is Angie Ambrosetti. She is a breakthrough coach, a podcast host. You need to listen to her podcast. It's amazing. And a faith-driven entrepreneur who helps women heal from the past and step into their God-given purpose. She's the host of the Angie Ambrosetti Show, Let Her Out to Play, a podcast filled with real talk, faith, and freedom. Angie lives in Tennessee with her high school sweetheart of nearly 40 years. She is a mom of 7, nanny to 13 plus, and passionate about encouraging women in midlife to live bold, free, and fully alive. Thank you, Angie, for being my guest today.
Oh, you're so welcome. I am so excited to be here.
What I love about all of these things, just what I was reading and what I shared, I mean, like you just gave a little snippet of your life. And, but like, let's just start from the teenage, you were, the high school sweetheart that you're married to, and just tell us a little bit about that journey and how you got to what you are today, because you are you're passionate about helping women. You have multiple businesses, but it wasn't always easy, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. Yes. Well, actually, I met my husband on a blind date, and he was already out of high school. I was still in high school. A friend fixed us up, and he actually told me he loved me on the very first night. He told me in Italian because his family's Italian, and so he thought he would throw me off course by telling me that. And yeah, he even says to this day, almost 40 years later, that he really did mean it. He knew there was something about me that he just really loved, and he wanted to get to know me better. So I was a junior in high school when I met him in December of that year, which was 1985. And our love story began. It was just a beautiful picture of ups and downs, like everything is. It's ups, it's downs, it's all the things. And it actually is a miracle that we even met, because I had been living in Florida with my dad. My parents are divorced. My dad lived in Florida, my mom in Indiana. I had just come back to Indiana that year, and I met him. And like I said, we went out, we started our love story back then in 1985. and we just built what we knew we wanted. I had come from, like I said, a divorced family, and my heart's desire was to have a big family, not 7. I wanted 5 kids. My husband came from a family of 4, and we were both the youngest of our families. And I really wanted, like my whole life, I was just like, I want to stay married to the same person. I know that I don't blame my parents for anything, but I just knew that's what my heart desired. And, here we are in, let's see, August 20th coming up. We will celebrate 37 years of marriage. And in December, 40 years of him being my favorite boyfriend of all time. And like you said, 7 children, grandbaby 14 on the way. And there have been, some rough times over the years, as most long-standing married couples would probably say. There were definitely some ups and some downs along the way, but praise the Lord, we have stuck it out and continue to just go forward on that journey.
What I love about what you share, I mean, it's just so honest. Like there is hard times and there's ups and downs. But one of the things that just resonated with me the most is that you said you just knew you wanted to stay married, and that is a hard. Most people are quick to say no when times are hard. Let's just get a divorce, no matter what the situation, whether it's finances, it's health issues, or whatever the issues are. They just want to jump to that, and you guys have really worked on everything, and now you're passionate about helping others heal. And so tell us a little bit about how you do that with your healing, and what kind of services that you offer for your people, your clients.
Yeah. So I personally went through some life coaching about 4 years ago, and 3 or 4 years ago. Like the time passes so quickly, I can't keep track. But I found that I had a lot of inner child healing that I needed to do. And once I was able to heal from some of that, I decided that I could help other women, because who better fit to help a woman just like me than me, because I've been through it, right? And so I decided that I was going to take the courses and get certified myself so that I could help women break free from the things that held them back, because the things that were holding me back was the fact that um my parents were divorced. Not that I was the only person in the world that had happened to, but that was a real barrier for me. I had changed schools 18 different times from kindergarten to my senior year, and I somehow still graduated. I always felt like I was unworthy. I wasn't worth anything because of all these ups and downs that I had had. And, life can bring lots of craziness along the way. And so I love helping women be able to break free from the past, manage the current situation that they're in, and look toward the future to help them break free so they can be the woman that God created them to be. And it is my deepest heart's joy to just embrace women when they do that. And like, I almost want to hug through the screen, because most of my coaching is done online. And there's so many tears that happen. Like we talked about earlier, like tears are such a beautiful part of healing. And when women have healing from the past, the present, and look towards the future for what it could mean for them, it is such a beautiful thing. And I honestly just love helping women find that healing and that freedom.
I love how you shared all of that, and I love how you brought in. I mean, our journey from kindergarten to high school to graduation is about 18 years, or not. I don't know, not 18 years. It's 13 years. You changed schools 18 times. You were like always the new kid. Then you didn't really have that long term. You didn't even have a chance to really make those friends. And so tell us a little bit about how was that like as a child from kindergarten to 18, not really having that connection with your best friends and things like that.
Well, so every year, kindergarten up until 6th grade, I went to at least 2 different schools every single year. And so in 6th grade was my first year to stay at one school all year long.
Oh wow.
That was the first time that I felt like I really did make some long-standing connections. Now, in those kindergarten through 5th grade, I did go back to some of the same schools, but I changed every twice a year. And then from let's see, what that had been 7th grade, I went to 3 different schools. Then 8th and 9th, I went to another school, just continued on. My last 2 years of high school, I did return to my original school that I started kindergarten at, and I graduated from that school. And of course, I had friends along the way, but I always walked into a room as if I was relating to myself as if I wasn't enough. Who's going to talk to me? I'm the girl that always shows up and then has to leave, like all along the way, And those last 2 years, staying at the same school for 2 solid years, the friendships really were impacted. And I was able to stay and I was able to show up. But I was tall. I mean, I'm 5'8", but when you're young and you're like 5'8", that's kind of tall. I always slouched a lot. I wanted to be hidden. I didn't want to be like the main focus of the room because I was embarrassed and I was somewhat downtrodden. But finally, by my senior year, I started to stand up a little straighter and was able to come into myself just a little bit more, kind of always feeling like I was still that little kindergartner that was always having to leave, that never had the buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I did gain a best friend my senior year, and she's still one of my very best friends today. So, changing all those times, it wasn't 18 different schools, but it was multiple different schools, but just
Yeah.
changing so much. It put me in a place of not feeling confident about myself, not feeling worthy, not feeling like I could show up as my authentic self, because I didn't really know what my authentic self was, to be quite honest with you.
I think that, like as I hear you say this, it like it makes me sad because I can see like it's hard for me to see that little girl and that in you. And I just think that the transformational work, because I've known you after you've done the healing.
Yeah.
I've known you the last probably 4 years we've known each other. And so you've already done a lot of the healing. And I see you today and you are just you stand proud, you show confidence. Um you were the person like when I first knew of you, it's like I want to get to know that lady, but I don't know how we're going to connect. And we've been able to connect, but it was just like because you radiate light, and I think that to see that you had went through that as a child, and and growing up, I can see that the healing work that you've done has really helped you to be that person you are today. And I love that you're helping others because I changed schools in 10th grade. And that was the only time I had to change schools. We went to a different town. We moved, and of course, back in our days, there wasn't like social media. Like we had payphones still, um,
Right.
and there wasn't unlimited long distance. Like you had to pay for those calls. And so when I moved, that was like a really hard time for me. And it was really hard making new friends. You're in the middle of the school year. It was hard. And so I can imagine that was hard for me. And then my senior year, I was allowed to go back to my hometown. I still lived in another town, but I just drove every day. I bought my car, I did all the things so I could still graduate with my friends. But even that year and a half that I was at a different school, there was a lot of distance. Like I felt like I had missed out on so much. But some of those people that I met when I had switched schools, one of my first friend that I had met, her and I are still friends today. And so, and I'm still friends with a lot of people I went to high school with, but for her and I, who, in that 1 year and a half became such great friends that we like today, we are still like, I just went to her daughter's bridal shower. And it's thank goodness that she reached out to me because I was so shy. And then me and my sister had the same class together. So it was in PE. So me and my sister were like, we'll just stick together. But she reached out to me like, and so I'm just so thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, that's just making me think of another couple things is that, and sometimes it doesn't always come up until you start talking about it, like you start thinking about it, is that I never had gone to a restaurant to eat by myself until I was in my 50s. Like I was too embarrassed or scared. And also, I never wanted to enter a room alone. Like I would always take someone with me because I didn't have the confidence or the strength to do it alone. And now, like I'm traveling all over the place, and sometimes there are people with me, don't get me wrong, but I can do it now. Like before, I always had to have, like, it's great to have a buddy, but I had to, because I would be paralyzed. Actually, there were times when I would go to meet someone to talk to them about my business. At this one particular time, I recall about 5 years ago, when I went to meet a lady who had contacted me, and she was, highfalutin, all this stuff, but she wanted to talk to me about plexus. And so I went to meet with her. I could not get out of my car. I was literally paralyzed. Called my husband, and he's like, "You're going to be fine. Get out of the car." I mean, I'm sitting in the car at the restaurant, afraid to go in, because I just had not had the healing work done in my own life, to where it sounds crazy. Like, I'm a woman in my 50s and I could not get out of the car. I was paralyzed by it. And there's been a couple incidents like that over the years. And my husband was always such a big encourager in that. And he would walk me through it, talk me out of it, and I'd get out of the car and go in. But, people don't really think about that. That there are some people who literally are paralyzed by different things, and it can hold us back for certain.
I think that's, how I see you now. And just to be, to be having that fear, like I can relate. You don't want to, before I did some healing work myself, it was like, I never wanted to be by myself, because it was like a little bit of a fear. You didn't want to, and I come from a family of six kids. And so I was the middle. So there was always one sibling around, or even if you didn't have friends, or you're in a different school or whatever it is, there was always somebody around. But when I started to go through some healing work in 2014, when I started, like, I'm going to start taking care of me, and I'm going to go out and, take myself out to breakfast, or just it was a scary thing at first, but then I was like, now I'm like, when do I get that me time again?
Yeah. I think for me, I always felt like one of the things, like, I didn't go to a restaurant alone, because I felt like people were staring at me, or I would feel awkward in some sense. Like, I couldn't look around, because what if somebody looked at me, And so I had a friend challenge me, and she's like, "I just want to challenge you to go." I went to Panera, and I went in the restaurant. I ordered food. I sat and ate it. I did some work on my computer, and I did not die.
Yeah.
I was so proud of myself.
Now, Panera Bread's was one of my favorite places to go to, because I would actually take my computer to and just do some work, and it just, because they have the Wi-Fi and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I love that that you had a friend that knew you were being held back, and she challenged you to do something like that. Like, it's really important who we have in our inner circle, and those who are helping us get through all of these things, because and there's things that we could go through in life, and people just think, they look at you today and think that you've always been this way, and don't understand where you've been before, and how hard it was to get to where you are today. And I think that that's important to share. And I know that, like, when you listen to your podcast, in the first few episodes, you shared your struggles, and your financial struggles that your husband and you face as a newly married couple, and things like that. And now today, like, you guys have multiple businesses, but it wasn't always easy. And people can just say, "Oh, they must have just came into money." But you guys
Right.
worked hard for that. And what your husband does, construction.
Right. He's a general contractor.
And then, so that's a hard line of work to get to. You have to, like, earn your stripes, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then you have your multi network marketing business, where I just love the way that you went from rose in your ranks. And it was like, seeing you step out of your shell and get into that, like, just really sit down and focus. I was there when, that was last year. That was a really amazing thing to see, your hard work ethic. And it seems like you've always had a hard work ethic. Would you say that would be true?
Yeah, for sure. Growing up in a single, with my mom being single, I watched my mom work multiple jobs over the years. Oh, and it's bringing up so many emotions for me right now. Like, my mom was really a very hard worker. And I remember her working 3 jobs at a time to try to make the ends meet. There was just my brother and I. And so I took that on. And my husband, he is the hardest working man that I know. And so he just always has instilled in me, and I know I got a lot of it from my mom, is that he says God always blesses hard work. And so there were times when we had to have help along the way and early on in our marriage, because no matter what we did, probably if we would have handled our finances better, we could have not had to work as hard. But sometimes it takes tough knocks, to figure that out. But I can remember I used to clean houses, and I used to iron people's clothes. I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I would get 10 cents a garment. And now we're like 10 cents. We don't even pick up a dime off the ground if we see it half the time, but back then it was a big deal. We cleaned beauty shops. I worked multiple jobs, even while I was in college. I was working, going to college, having babies, and cleaning beauty shops. We've got my hair done today. And I told the lady, I'm like, I hope I never have to clean a beauty shop again because they are so dusty and dirty and there's hair everywhere. But yeah, we really did. And that's all I know is hard work, right? Like I just raising lots of children. We've homeschooled for 26 years and we have multiple businesses. Like you mentioned, my husband's a general contractor and he's been in business for himself for about 15 years. Of course, I do my coaching and I also have my network marketing business, which is, I love. And then we've done some real estate on the side. So we're just always, not because we have to have more, but we know that the more we have, the more we can give. And we want to give our children opportunities that we didn't have. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with having a hard work ethic.
No, I think that that's a really important, and that's what I find for us. Like, I find that, like, for me, and we were sharing a little bit, before we started recording, like, I seen the same thing with my mom. I saw her, my parents divorced when we were young, and I remember my mom just working multiple jobs. She would waitress at night, and then she was going to school to get her, her bachelor's and getting her teaching credentials and substitute teaching during the day. And sometimes barely seeing her. And so then we had to like make sure we had dinner done and help the younger ones with their homework and all of those things. And I knew that when I started working at 14, and I was like, I need to really work hard and save my money and do all these things. And sometimes I will say too that sometimes I wasn't good with my finances, because once you start to have your own money and then you like, oh, this was what it feels like to have money, you sometimes spend and make things, maybe not the best purchases, or you spend too much, but those are just learning curves because we have the option to do that. And just once you get better with your finances and you understand, but I don't think that the wanting to work hard and then wanting to make more money is a negative thing, because it, like you said, it gives the opportunity to give more, to help others. And, and it's not like you just you have multiple businesses, you have, a large family. And I think that's important that we leave some type of legacy behind, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What I love too is that you said you homeschooled all your children. And how many years ago did you do that for?
Well, this is year 26 and my youngest is a junior this year. So we have this year, next year to go. My oldest son is 36 and we started homeschooling him when he was in 6th grade. And so then all the way down. And so my youngest 3 have never gone to school. My oldest 4 went for a little bit of time until we started homeschooling. And one of my favorite things is that all of my grandchildren are currently being homeschooled. So it's 2nd generation. And whew, if that doesn't make a person get emotional, like that just does my heart just a world of good.
I think I love that you said that, because, like there could be like generation curses, but there's also positive generation like legacies that you're doing. And, the fact that you're not only are you started homeschooling your children, but now your grandkids are being homeschooled as well. I think that's amazing. Yeah. And then there's such a gap between, your oldest and then your youngest. And so your young last 2, are those the ones that are adopted?
Our last 3.
Okay.
So we had 4 biological children and then we thought we were done, but the Lord had a different plan. And so my youngest biological son child was 7 whenever we adopted our first little guy. He was 20 months old. We had no intention of adopting. Like that wasn't on our radar. We thought we were just going to have more babies biologically, but the Lord had a different plan for us. And through the process of our first adoption, we ended up, getting 2 more. And I've never been so emotional on a podcast in my life, but here I am. Good thing I got ahead of time. We say a lot because people have said to us over the years, oh, well, those kids really needed you, didn't they? And my husband always says, you know what? They needed a mom and dad, and we needed them as much as they needed us. We didn't even realize it at the time, we just thought we're expanding our family, which that's what we were doing. That's what the Lord was doing. But we needed them as much as they needed us. I mean, most of my friends were becoming empty nesters many, many years ago. And I still had little ones. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, it has been one of the best things that has ever happened for our family. And our biological children, like, they love them just as much. There's absolutely no differentiation between our biological children and our adoptive sons. So it's just been a beautiful thing that the Lord has done. And like I said, we weren't planning it. As a matter of fact, I have to be honest in saying this, that someone mentioned to me, why don't you guys adopt? And I said, I don't know if I could love an adopted child the way I do my biological. And I don't love them the same. And my other kids say that they're like, mother, but I'm like, I actually think I love my adopted kids more, like, because like I said, I know they needed us as much as we needed them. And we have the same love, but there's absolutely no differentiation between any of our kids. And yeah, it's just such a beautiful picture of redemption in Christ. Like, he adopts us into his family, and he gave us that picture through adopting these children as well.
I love that. I love that. This is something not to do with like children, but um, we have like animals, like we rescue animals, and as they come in, and just recently an 18-month, I think it's 18 to 24 months, they don't know, but it was a stray dog and been living in an alley for a couple of weeks, and somebody got the ability to take him in, and people fundraised to get him fixed and all these things. And then they had them for 2 months. Somebody was fostering him, and then they're like reached out to us, and I really didn't want another dog. And because sometimes like we had just lost one dog, and it was like, but once we got this dog, it's like we needed him just as much as he needed us. And he has been such a light to our other dogs, because we have another one that's not doing too well. So it's like it brings life into you that you didn't know, that something into your life that you didn't know was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not the same as a child, but the animals are still so important to us as well. And so I can feel how you feel. Like, so my kids always joke that we love the animals more than we love them, but it's like, it's just a different type of love. But it's being able to open and to receive that type of love too, I think is important too. And I think that's amazing to be able to homeschool and then just offer these, children the ability to be in a safe, nurturing home as well.
So our youngest two, actually, they're biological brothers. We brought them home from the hospital. They're about 2.5 years apart in age, but we brought both of them home from the hospital. And then the older one, he was about 20 months old. So we're all they've ever known, basically.
Yeah. I love that. I think that everything that you do is so amazing. And I love that you shared on this podcast. It's not always been, and like you brought up the emotions. I didn't mean for the emotions to come out, but that's real. It's like the real story. Like, when we have these feelings, and sometimes we hold on to things, or and there might be somebody out there who might be stuck and can so relate to the fact that they feel like they can't go into a restaurant by themselves, or they feel just so alone and isolated, but within themselves, because they don't have that confidence. And how can they work with you to get connected to do your coaching?
Yeah. So I have a website, which we'll put in the show notes here, that, you can check out my website if you'd like to, or you can message me directly. You can connect with me on Instagram or Facebook, or I think maybe I have my email in there. You can reach out to me. You don't have to go through the website. I actually do group coaching as well as individual coaching. And throughout the summer, I'm doing a couple different coaching groups, because sometimes people, there's two kinds of people out there that I find. People, either they want to do the one-on-one because they don't want to, they're not ready for someone else to hear their story. And that's how I was in the beginning. I didn't want someone else to hear my story yet, because I was afraid of it. Really, I was afraid of what emotions might come out. But now, even on here, like getting teared up, I'm not apologizing for that, because I know that is just a part of continued healing. And to me, it's the most beautiful thing. But also, there's that second kind of person who they want to be in a group because they kind of want to hide behind things. And that's okay too, because I honestly, like, I help people come out of that, pulling away the shell, or kind of like the skin of the onion a little bit at a time, gently and soft, because the most important thing is I want people to find healing in whatever it is they're looking for, and to be able to come out of their own skin and show up the way that they are supposed to.
I think that's so important. I love that you go and you're going through like the root healing and just kind of slowly peeling the onion, and I think that that's so important. And I know that, being going through some of the, different methods of healing, once I went through the healing that you help with, that was just a whole new level of healing. And it, working on that inner child and all the things and are the human being and all of the things. So I think that that's amazing that you're doing that. And I love how to see how much it has changed you to become the woman that you are today, because it's all about refining and shining. People look and say, oh, that must be easy, it must be nice, or it must, but they don't understand the work that you had to put in. And it wasn't always easy. We've been through trials and tribulations, and now you're helping others heal through that. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I would love for any of you listening today to check out my podcast, The Angie Ambrosetti Show, Let Her Out to Play. And that tagline, there were multiple people that helped me come up with that and really solidify that, because it really is a part of let her out. And we're talking about that little girl inside that was stuck in there for so long, and just letting her out, and the whole let her out to play, because let her be free to do, to feel, to be who she was always called to be. And to me, when we're talking about inner child, every child wants to play. That is the most fun that we ever have. I think about recess, okay? Because that's what it was back in the day. And just let her out. And that is just how I am able to help so many women. And through the podcast, actually, I'm sharing a lot of the story. I'm doing a series currently. Now, who knows how long it's going to go on, about teenage motherhood, because being a teenage mom myself, I have found such connection with other women, even like you. And I just am so appreciative that you brought me on today. And I just look forward to connecting with your listeners as well, my friend.
Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate you saying yes. And your podcast is so good. I love listening to it, and it just brought up so many things to me, and I could relate to you on so many levels. And I think that that's important. And that's what we do these podcasts for, is to show people that, and maybe those people who are too scared to say yes to coaching, they can kind of listen and say, okay, maybe I can do this because I'm not alone. There's others out there. I mean, they look at some podcast people, and I had a fear of doing my podcast at first. And I'm like, there's so many others. But then I was like, wait, I got something to say too. So, and we all bring a different perspective to it. We all have different ways that we're approaching it. And I think that that's important. But before we wrap up, I always ask my guests to say what, or to give a little something that they can, a word, a phrase, an action, maybe even a book to read, a Bible verse to read. What is something that my listeners can do today in order to refine and shine?
Okay, awesome. Well, I would just say, be in the word of God every day, because that is what has brought me to the forefront, is just knowing that that is my superpower. Like, my superpower every single day is the word of God. And my favorite verse that I always share is that may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart always be acceptable in your sight, for you are my rock and my redeemer. And I think about that every time I am a guest on a podcast, or I'm recording my own podcast. May the words of my mouth always be acceptable in your sight. So I hope that's an encouragement to your listeners today.
I love that. I love that. I think that's so important. And so definitely I'm going to make sure I have all of your links and everything so people can connect with you, because I think that you are such a beautiful person. And you, I love, just like I said, again, your podcast is amazing. I love how you branded everything. I love everything that you did, because you are full out letting her out to play.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, the bubble is the best thing, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
So thank you so much for being a guest on today.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fill your journey of continuous improvement.
Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.